The notion of environmental assessment first emerged in the 1960s, reflecting society's growing awareness of the environment. It strives to ensure social and ecological sustainable use of our natural resources through participatory approaches that's supported by sound science. Because building of nature is also such a sustainable development at heart, let's explore how these two concepts fit together. We will take port planning and management as our example. Thinking of port planning and management practically, a new development typically starts with the selection of a suitable coastal site to locate the port. During master planning, the overall vision and various port layouts are considered, and the design phase drills down deeper into the individual infrastructure projects at the selected sites, and then it goes into construction. Within the port planning and management cycles, there are long-term processes, and they are only addressed at about 10 to 20-year time spans. However, once a port has been built, operations and maintenance, as well as monitoring and auditing activities happen on a much shorter time scales, literally on a day-to-day basis. Now, environmental assessment, on the other hand, comprises a range of different processes, including strategic environmental assessment. This entails a proactive participatory process within a specific geographical area, aiming to assess the ecological, social, and the economic sustainability under the various development scenarios. Strategic environmental assessment are also not project-specific. Rather, they are overarching assessments of the potential and the suitability of a particular area for different types of development. Then there's environmental impact assessment, also a participatory process, but this is primarily aimed at assessing the potential ecological and social impacts in a specific project. It also considers means to mitigate such impacts. Environmental management systems, again, are aimed at assessing operational performance and compliance with ecological and social objectives that was agreed as part of the strategic and the environmental impact assessments. Here, during this phase, sound ongoing environmental monitoring is of critical importance. And then finally, sustainability assessments aim to assess performance against the United Nations 14 Sustainability Development Goals, which countries agreed as part of Agenda 2020. Now, if we align these environmental assessment processes with components in port planning and management, it becomes clear that the strategic environmental assessment aligns well with site selection, master planning, and the initial stages of design. All of these proactive investigations into what might be possible. Environmental impact assessment is often a legal requirement prior to construction of any new development, so it is usually performed in phase with the detailed stages of design. It also stipulates requirements to be met during the construction or infrastructure construction. Environmental systems align best with operations and maintenance, providing the structured platform within which to conduct ongoing environmental performance and compliance assessments. And finally, sustainability assessment aligns best with the overarching monitoring and auditing phases, providing a means of assessing the overall social and ecological sustainable outcomes in a particular port. But how would a building with nature approach then align with environmental assessment processes in port planning and management? First, let's locate building with nature in relation to the activities in port planning and management. It spans site selection, master planning, and the initial stages of design. Building of nature and strategic environmental assessment are both ecologically friendly processes looking for development opportunities through participatory approaches. While building with nature, or the process of building with nature, often enters from the engineering perspective, strategic environmental assessment is more grounded in the social and ecological opportunities of the new development. So these processes are complementary and can mutually benefit if they align through their knowledge and participatory platforms. So why then do we want to bring SEA and Building with Nature design process together, trying to use the one to inform and refine the other? What is the added value? Most social and ecological issues in port development only emerges during the EIA phase. So by proactively identifying and addressing these in the early planning and design stages, EIAs will no longer be perceived as green handbrakes to port development. In many instances in the ports, port development has been stalled by social and ecological conflicts that could have been foreseen and addressed in advance, or even seen as opportunities for nature development. Port operators are also often bogged down in social and ecological conflicts that could have been identified in the planning phases. So addressing these early on can save them a great deal of effort later on during operations. Maintenance costs can also be reduced significantly if ecological processes are taken into account. For example, taking into account of water circulation process in the design phase can later reduce the need for maintenance dredging. So finally, by considering social and ecological values early on in port planning and development, a port's ability to comply with international sustainable development goals will be enhanced.